Shout out to G-Man Boxing. Where's the piss bottle? It's over there.
Before we get into it, I want to plug a channel that belongs to a friend of ours, Fiona Edgar. Go over there, give her channel a look. One of the best astrologers I've ever come across. If you're interested in that kind of thing, as I myself am, it is the channel for you. Go over there, give it a look, give it a subscribe, help her out. Alright people, so Chris Eubank Jr. He's obviously been at his press conference for his upcoming fight with Liam Smith, which is happening in January. Now, we're all looking forward to that fight. I think it's going to be a good fight. Hopefully a good undercard to justify pay-per-view. I haven't decided if I'm going to buy it or not. Depends on the undercard. But a lot of the talk with the interviews that were given with Eubank was about the whole Conor Benn situation. And there's two quotes that I'm going to quote here from Chris Eubank. Now, the first of which is with his knowledge. His knowledge, obviously, of the first failed PED test. Now, there was two tests. Two failed tests were returned. There was the one that was... The first one we knew about was the one that caused this fight to be cancelled, which was actually the second one, right? So this was the one that was taken, I believe, at the start of September. They were made aware, I think, was it just before fight week or thereabouts? They were going to go ahead. Obviously, it got leaked to the Daily Mail. Board pulled it, all that. But then subsequently it emerged that there was actually a test failed prior to this fight being announced, I believe in July, which is part of the WBC clean boxing program, which Conor Benn, to be ranked by the WBC, you have to take part in this, and it is random VADA testing. So Team Eubank were never informed of that one, and Eubank told Sky Sports that basically I wouldn't have accepted the fight in August if I'd known he'd failed a test before. By the time I did find out, it was too late. So Eubank basically implying there that if he had known going into this fight, way back in August when this fight was announced, he wouldn't have gone ahead with it. Now, as I think I said in midweek report, legally I don't think they're obliged, because technically speaking, when he failed that test, this fight wasn't announced. It was being talked about, but it wasn't announced. I don't think it was signed. So technically you could say, well, they didn't actually have to tell you, that they failed it, because technically it wouldn't have been looked on as in competition for Eubank and Benn, technically. But you would have thought from a moral point of view, they would have. But at the end of the day, I suspect or suppose maybe that's what they feared. Maybe they feared, okay, look, we have this little failed tests, perfectly logical explanation. I'm just paraphrasing here. I'm not saying this is what they did, but perfectly logical explanation. Can we still go ahead with the fight? Won't happen. Maybe they felt if they did do that, either he wouldn't take the fight, or the request that they had, which was the catch weight / rehydration clause, it would be a case of, well, you don't have a leg to stand on with them, so I'm doing you a favour by taking this fight. Maybe they feared all that. But Eubank went on to say that even if there's a not guilty verdict, he's still guilty in the eyes of the people. That stain is always on his name. Doesn't matter how much money you pay for your lawyers, your defense, your team, and your scientist, you got caught cheating. So basically he's saying there as well that Conor Benn, in the eyes of the public, at the end of the day, there's a saying, mud sticks. So if Conor Benn, and I've said this once, I'll say it again. Look, from the outside looking in, he looks guilty. He looks guilty. Am I going to throw him completely under the bus and say, get him out of boxing, blah, 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 blah? No, because he's not been found 100% guilty. It looks bad. It looks bad for Conor Benn, I'll have to say. And from the outside looking in, it does look like he's guilty. But at the end of the day, we have to let this go. We can't just go and say, get him out, blah, 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 blah. We have to see how this plays out. I do think that the silence from Conor Benn, even just a statement or something, a proper hey, how's it going kind of thing, obviously not like that, you know what I mean, would be better. But it does look bad. But he's saying that even if the board say, yeah, Conor, here's your license, well, actually he actually got rid of the license, but if they say, we're not going to ban you, you can do what you want next year, etc., etc., even if that happens, the saying is mud sticks. That will follow him at least for a while. I was listening to the Hat Man's video on this, and he was saying that how boxing fans have short memories. And it's true. You know, unless it's something really, really, really big, like really, really big, then more often than not, they tend to forget, don't they? I mean, who remembers in 2017 the screenshotted images of actually it was texts from Instagram that Eddie Chambers had reportedly of Anthony Joshua saying certain things to Eddie Chambers. Remember them? Who remembers? Who remembers? Most people probably still do, but who remembers the Amir Khan when he accused Anthony Joshua of sleeping with his missus? Who remembers that? Jesus, I'm trying to think of some of the things that have happened in boxing that we kind of just forget about. And obviously, we have short memories because I'm forgetting some of them as well. But there's always been those, incidents. You know what I mean? Like Billy Joe Saunders with the crack thing. So there are things that we kind of as fans forget. And I suspect if Conor Benn is found innocent, or if he is found guilty but comes back in a year or two, he might have to suffer with people saying you're a drug treat, you're this, you're that. But I think most fans would forget pretty quickly. Give it a fight or two and then we're good. Some might even forget straight away. If he's gone long enough. At the end of the day, you never know. But I suspect that's what would happen with Conor Benn if he's found guilty, or if he's found innocent, I should say. I suspect that's what would happen. But it's interesting, the whole Eubank Benn situation. Now, the more I think about it, the more I think, like, if Conor Benn did come back next year and just say he was fighting in the UK again, because I'm sure he could fight probably anywhere in the world now. It's only his British Boxing Board of Control license he's given back. I'm sure he's still well able, if he wanted to fight in Australia or America or somewhere like that. If Eddie Hearn could get him on a card there, I'm sure he could. But I wonder if he did fight in England next year with a British boxing license, or possibly with a Luxembourg license, who knows, and they did try and make Eubank versus Benn. At the end of the day, controversy sells. That fight would be even bigger with everything. And it would really be a case of kind of good versus bad, if you know what I mean. You'd have so many people cheering for Eubank, wanting Eubank to win because of what happened going into the cancelled fight. And I think it would have more eyes on the sport, or more eyes on the fight, I should say. It would have more eyes on it then than it would if it happened in October. So I can imagine from both Sauerland's point of view and from Eddie Hearn's point of view, they still really, really want to get that fight over the line, because Sauerland wanted to get... Sauerland, people... And I got to give Eddie Hearn... I can't just say it's all on Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn wanted this fight to go ahead, even though the failed drug test came in, right? But so did Sauerland. They were promoting Eubank. But yet they were looking and were like, let's have this fight go ahead where we want the bag. Kella Sauerland... he plays his role in... Like, Kella Sauerland... He's not as charismatic as Eddie Hearn, but he plays the banter role real good. But he's still a businessman at the end of the day. He's still trying to make money. Kella Sauerland is great with banter. He plays that role well. Especially during the World Boxing Super Series, he was telling people, the comments, we love the comments. And he was even saying that, keep the comments coming. He plays that role real good, the banter. But he's still a businessman at the end of the day. He'd have no problem making Benn Eubank. He wanted that fight to happen. Even after the failed drugs test. Even after I think the board said we're not sanctioning this fight. He still wanted that. So we can't just go and say Eddie Hearn is this, that and the other. It's all him. It's not all him. Not in this. It's not all him. It's both parties. Eubank, he still come out with this with his stock higher, I think. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see what kind of numbers the Liam Smith fight does. Because I think one good move that Sky, Boxer and Wasserman have done is they've made hay while the sun is shining. They haven't waited, just be like, let Eubank have a rest and get him out in May or June next year. No, they've been like, get him out in December or January. They got him out in January. Boom, we're straight into it. So good play by there, because Eubank is playing this role real well. It really is. I think that the way he's been in the press conference with Liam Smith has been brilliant. And I wish we'd had this Eubank a couple of years earlier. I really do, because this Eubank is just so much... Like, he always came across as arrogant. But it was hard to like him back then. This Eubank, you can't not like him. It's just he's funny, he's charismatic, he's showing his real personality. I think it's brilliant. I think that, and I think his performances will be better as a result, because I don't think he's putting pressure on himself. I think that he's doing it in a jovial way, whereas before it was a case of, I'm going to hurt you, I'm superior, I'm better, end of. And then maybe it's a kind of in the ring on fight night, like against George Groves, he has a come to Jesus moment, and it's like, crap. Not saying he would have beaten George Groves if he went with a more kind of jovial, charismatic kind of way into a fight, but he might have given himself a better chance. Who knows? Let me know your thoughts on this whole situation in the comments below. Smash the like button if you could. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. Getting there, lads. Nearly 350 subs away from 10k. 350 subs away from 10k, lads. We are there. We need a good December and we've done it. Think of it like this. We need a good December and we've flipping done it. It's done. 10k. That's crazy. 20k by the end of next year. Could be done. Could easily be done. Set your standards high, lads. I'll leave it at that. If you could, smash the like button. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. The channel I plugged at the start of this video, Fiona Edgar Astrology. Give her a look. Does some great videos. Some great advice in those videos as well. If you're into astrology as I am, I love astrology. Amongst other things, I love astrology. So, definitely worth giving a look. For now, I'll talk to you. Peace.